Hello friends, this is Bhunesh Mutha from Easy Photo Edit and welcome to the world of Photoshop. Please note, this tutorial is for absolute beginners. Before we go ahead, I would like to show you which version of Photoshop I am currently using. To see that, let me go to the Help menu and from there About Photoshop CC. When I click on that, a pop-up window appears and it gives me an information that I am currently using 20.0.1 release, which is the latest version at this point of time, and Adobe Photoshop CC, where CC stands for Creative Cloud. Let me click on that for the pop-up window to disappear. Let us see how we can open a file in Photoshop. To open a file in Photoshop, go to the File menu and from there, Open. The shortcut to that is Ctrl O on Windows and Command O on Mac. Click on that and my files are located on desktop, and this is the file I would like to open. Let me double click on that. And this is how the default Photoshop workspace looks like. If you go to the topmost area, this is called the menu bar. The one below that is called the options bar. The options bar is a dynamic bar and it changes depending on which tool you have selected. For an example, if I select the brush tool, it will show me brush related options. If I select my text tool, it will show me text related options. Hope you get an idea. Let me select my move tool again, and on the left hand side you can see the tools panel. Right now it's in compact mode. Let me click on the chevron icon over here and it expands my tools panel into a 2-column view bar. And now you can see there are so many tools available in Photoshop. If I hover my mouse on any of the tool icon where you can see this small triangle in the corner, if I left click my mouse on that, you can see there are so many different tools nested under this parent tool. So you get an idea that there are so many tools which has got this small triangle in the corner. That means there are many more tools nested under these parent tool. The center screen area or the main work area is the documents panel or documents window, you can say. And on the right hand side you can see different panels which are available in Photoshop. Though you can see different panel names, but they are right now tabbed together. To see the other panel, just click on that once and you can see the swatches panel. Or let's say I want to click on paths, I can just click on that. So let me just get back to the way it was, and the one below is called the status bar. This interface is completely customizable. For an example, if I don't like my tools bar on the left hand side, I can just left click my mouse and drag, and probably I can place wherever I like. In case if I want to have my tools panel on the right hand side, I can do that. If I like my colors panel to be moved, I just left click my mouse on that and drag I can move my colors panel over here, and if I want my swatches panel to be over here, I can also do that. And to minimize the swatches panel, just double click on that and it will minimize. And if you want to minimize them even more, you can click on this chevron icon and it will collapse into icon mode. Hope you get an idea that how customizable it is. At any point of time, you want to reset your workspace and you want it to be the way it was earlier, just go to the window menu and from there workspace and reset essentials. The moment you click on this, it will reset back to the way it was when you installed Photoshop first. On the right hand side, you can see there are 3 different panels which I do not require as of now. So how do we close an adjustment panel? Either you can right click on its name and you will get an option to close or close tab group. If you click on close, it will close only this particular panel, which is adjustments panel. But if you click on close tab group, it will close all the 3 panels which are tabbed together. So I want to close all the 3 panels, so I'll click on close tab group. And now all the 3 panels are gone. I like my tools panel to be in expanded view. So let me click on this chevron icon to have an 2-column view bar. I want to talk about few important navigation tools available in Photoshop. The first tool which we are going to talk about is the zoom tool. If I go to my tools panel, over here you can see a magnifier icon. If I just go over my tool, it will show me a tool tip and it gives me an information that it's the zoom tool. The shortcut to that is Z and it magnifies or reduces the view of an image. So let me click on my zoom tool, and before I click anywhere on my image, I want you guys to have a look at these 2 specific areas. That is, next to our document name, it says at 100% or 100% in the bottom in the status bar. That means we are already viewing our image at 100%. So now when I single click anywhere on my image, this value changes to 200%. Similarly, in the bottom, it gives me an information that right now I'm currently zoomed in to 200% in this image. If I click one more time, it will zoom in some more. To zoom out, you need to go to the options bar and over here you need to select the zoom out icon. Click anywhere on the image to zoom out. Click one more time to zoom out even more. There are 2 other important buttons in the options bar and those are called fit screen and fill screen. If you click on the fit screen, it will fit my image to the screen size, and if I click on the fill screen, it will fill my image to the document screen size. If you notice, my current tool is zoom out. In case if I quickly want to switch between zoom in and zoom out, let me show you a handy way of doing that. If you hold your Alt key on keyboard or Option key on Mac, it will quickly switch from zoom out to zoom in, and the moment I release my Alt key or Option key on Mac, it will switch from zoom in icon to zoom out. So I prefer using this way because again and again going to the options bar and clicking on these icons would take a little more time. This takes me to my next tool, which is the hand tool. Let me go to the Tools panel and select the hand tool. The shortcut to that is the H alphabet, and let me select my hand tool. And hand tool is very handy to pan or move around the image. To pan or move around, just left click your mouse, click and drag to move whichever area of your image. Why this is so powerful is because if you see, we have scroll bar available in our document, but this scroll bar is restricted to vertical or horizontal movement, wherein hand tool can move in any of these directions. So this is why I find the hand tool to be more powerful, and I never use these scroll bar. And if you notice in the options bar with the hand tool selected, you also have fit screen and fill screen available over here. Let me show you one more way to navigate in Photoshop, and that is through panels. To do that, let me go to the window menu and from there select Navigator. When I click on that, this opens up a new panel, which is Navigator Panel. Let me just left click my mouse on that and drag it out. Let me hide the histogram panel by clicking on the chevron icon, or I can even click on the histogram icon itself. Let me move my Navigator panel over here. So to nest a panel with other panels, just left click your mouse, drag and move until you see this sign rectangle. And the moment you leave that, it will merge with the other panels. Let me expand my panel by coming to this particular area where one panel is joining with other. As soon as you see this arrow, just click on that and drag it down. Now I can see a complete thumbnail view of my document screen. Though I am zoomed in, I can see the full view of my image over here. Here you can see there's a small mountain icon and a big mountain icon. So big mountain icon will let you zoom in, and the small mountain icon will let you zoom out. And here you have a scrubby slider. If you click on that, you can go left or right to zoom out and zoom in. So now I'm completely zoomed in, and I'm zoomed in at 405%. Here you can also see this red rectangle. If I click on this red rectangle and move, I can pan around my image. Let me just zoom out a little more. So for an example, I am doing some intricate work in my document panel, and I've finished my work over here, and I want to move around to another corner of my image. Going by the hand tool would take a lot of time. Instead, I can just use my Navigator panel, click on the single click and move anywhere I like, and again I can work there and zoom out. So this is a much more easier way to navigate. The next tool which I want to show you guys is the move tool. If you go to the Tools panel, this particular icon is the Move tool icon, and the shortcut to that is V. Click on that, and this helps you to move a selection or an image itself. To move this particular image, let me left click and drag. And now you have a pop-up window which says the currently selected layer is a background layer and you cannot move a background layer or change its stacking order, blending mode or opacity. However, you can convert it to a normal layer and then change any of these attributes. Let me just click on cancel because I want you guys to understand this from the layers panel. So let me head to my layers panel, and here you can see the same image and it's called background, and there is a lock icon next to that. So if I go and hover my mouse over the lock icon, it gives me an information that this layer is partially locked. Single click on the lock icon to unlock this background layer and change it to a normal layer. This is what the pop-up window was telling us earlier. And now if I click anywhere on my image, click and drag, I can move my image anywhere in the document. As soon as I release my mouse, it will drop my image to that particular location. So let me click on my image again and get back to the place where it was. And now you can see this magenta lines all over my screen, and these are smart guides. We would be talking about that in our future videos. So let me just release my mouse, and now you don't see them anymore. Let me show you how we can close this particular document. To do that, you can either go to the document name, and over here you have a X mark which you can use to close your document, or I can even go to File, Close, and the shortcut to that is Ctrl W on Windows and Command W on Mac. Let me just click on that, and Photoshop asks me if I want to save this as a Photoshop document or no. In this case, I do not want to save, so I'll just click on no. And now you can see the recently closed files in the bottom. I want to talk about an important concept in Photoshop. In fact, this is the most important thing which you should know about Photoshop. Photoshop is a raster based image editing software. What do I mean by that? Let me just open up my second file to show you that in a little more detail. Go to my file menu, open. Let me just navigate, and this is the file I would like to open. Double click on that, and now here you can see there are two stars. They both look visually the same. They have the same color, size and shape, though they are a lot different. One is a vector image and the other one is a raster image. Vector images are made up of mathematical equations, and raster image is made up of grids of pixel. To show you that, let me just zoom in a little more from my Navigator panel, and I want to select the direct selection tool, which is nested under path selection tool. Select my direct selection tool and click anywhere on my star. And now you can see these small squares and lines. These small squares are called nodes and the lines are called paths. So this is what my vector images is made of. To see what my raster image is made of, let me select the zoom tool, and here is a quick tip, guys. Before I do that, let me just switch to my zoom in icon because I want to zoom in. And here is a quick tip for you guys. To zoom into a specific area from my zoom tool, just left click on your mouse and click and drag. So this creates a zoom selection. And the moment I release my mouse, it will zoom in to that specific area. Let me do that one more time. Left click on your mouse, click and drag to create a zoom selection. And now if I release my mouse, it will zoom in some more. This shows me each and every pixel of my document. And let me tell you, each pixel stores a color value in them. And this is how a raster image is formed. Raster images are images which we use in our day-to-day life. Any picture which you click from your mobile phone or from a camera is a raster image. Vector images can be created from these popular softwares like Adobe Illustrator, CorelDRAW, or Affinity Designer. But this is not it. I want to show you the biggest difference between the two. Let me just go to my Move tool. And vector images, the biggest advantage with vector images is you can scale them up and down and they do not lose their quality. Wherein in raster images you can only scale them down without losing its quality, and you cannot scale them up. Though there is a way around which I'll be talking about in my future video, but still you are limited. You cannot scale a raster image. You can only scale a raster image to a certain extent. To show you that, let me select both my stars from the layers panel, and to do that I would go to my layers panel and I can see already my vector star has been selected. Hold down the control key and click on the raster star layer, and now I have both my stars selected. To perform a transform, I would go to Edit, Free Transform, and the shortcut to that is Ctrl T on Windows and Command T on Mac. When I click on it, I can see a bounding box around my image. Bounding box has these small squares around them, and each square can perform a different kind of transformation. So let me just go to this particular corner, and I want to scale these star proportionally. So I would click on it and scale them down by dragging my mouse, and for an example I will scale it to this particular size. And to perform this transformation or to commit this transformation, I would need to go to my options bar, and over here you can see a check mark. So this says commit transformation, and also it gives me a tip that the shortcut to that is enter on keyboard or return on Mac. So I would click on it, and this makes my star small. They both look still the same, and the main difference will come in when you scale them back up. So let me do that. Let me go to Edit, Free Transform, and now I will scale them back up by holding one of the corners and dragging them up. And now to perform this, to commit this transformation, I will click on this check mark again. Straight away you can see vector image looks exactly the same, crisp and sharp, whereas a raster image looks blurry and the edges also do not look sharp because it has lost its quality. So this is the main difference between the two. Why this concept is so important for you guys to understand is whenever you create a new document or whenever you're creating a new project, you need to know at what size it needs to be created or where you're gonna use it at the end of the day. Let's say you're going to print this image to a wall size, then you need to make sure that your document size and resolution is done accordingly. And if you're just going to print it to a 2x3, then it needs to be in the right dimension. And if you're just going to use for the web, then it needs to be in a different size. So this takes me to my next topic, that is how to create a new document. To do that, let me just close down this file, and Photoshop again asks me if I want to save the changes to this particular document, and I do not want to do that. So let me click on no, and now I want to create a new document, and to do that, go to the file menu and from there new. The shortcut to that is Control N on Windows and Command N on Mac. Click on that and a new document dialog box will open up. This has several tabs, and let me just go one by one. Right now it's on my recent tab and it shows me the recent document sizes which I have used. And if you click on the next tab, if you have any document preset saved, then it will show up over here. I mean, a custom document preset saved will show up over here. Next is a photo category where you can see different photo sizes available over here. Let's say you want to create a popular 2x3 or 4x6, just simply click on that and you're good to go. Or if you want to create a print document, just go to the print tab, and I want to create some popular image type like A4 or A5. I just need to simply click on that and Photoshop automatically enters these values into my new document creator. And then you have art and illusion presets, web presets, mobile presets, film and video presets. But in this case, I would like to create a photo document, and I would go with default Photoshop size, which is a 7" by 5". And here you can see my document is named Untitled 1. I would like to change that to layers. So I want my document name to be named as layers. And here you can see right now it's a landscape document which we are creating. If you want it to be a portrait, just click on the portrait orientation icon and it swaps its value to 5:7. But in this case, I want to create a landscape image. So I will click on the landscape orientation icon. And here you can see my current resolution is 300 pixels per inch, which is the standard for any print image. And it's in RGB mode. It's a 8-bit image, and my background will have a default of white color. If I want to change that, I can do that from here. But right now I would go with white and click create to create this new document. And now you can see I have a brand new document with the name layers, and right now we are viewing this at 50%. It has got a default background with a white fill. So let us make things a lot more interesting by getting in few images. To do that, go to the file menu and from there open, and now click on that, and these are the files I would like to open. So let me select that and click open, and now you can see all the 3 images have opened up in a new window tab. To see a particular document, just click on its name in the document tab group. For an example, I want to see my beach image, so I will go to beach.png and just click on that. If I want to see my sky image, I can just click on that to see my sky image. Hope you get an idea. So now let me go to my layers document, and I want to see all the 4 images in this screen. To do that, go to the window menu and from there arrange, and there's an option called 4 up. If I click on this, it will show me all the 4 images together on my screen. So the next thing I want to do is get these images into my layers document. To do that, let me just go to the beach layer first and click on the image anywhere and click and drag, and you can see this see a plus icon next to my cursor which tells me I'm moving this image over here. And let me just release my mouse to commit this movement, and now I can see my beach image copied over to my layers document. So let me close the beach image, which I do not require anymore. And now I'll select the sky document, do the same, left click on my mouse, drag and drop that to my layers window. I will close that. Now I can take my final tree image to the layers window by left clicking and moving that to my layers document. Again, I will close that. And now you can see, apart from the background layer, there are 3 other layers there in my layers document. So to make things a little more tidy, let me just rename them. And it's a good practice to rename the layers, because as and when you go on working in Photoshop, you would be creating at least 20, 30 or even more when you grow in Photoshop. So to rename a layer, let me just double click on layer 1 text, and now I can rename that to beach. As I can see in the thumbnail, this is the beach image, and click enter or return to rename that. Let me double click on the sky image and name it as sky. Just double click on layer 3 and name it as tree. Again, hit enter to perform that. So right now you can see I can only see my tree image and my sky image. I cannot see my beach image. To see my beach image, I need to hide the other 2 images. To do that, you can see in the layers panel, you can see this eyeball icon. If I click on that, it will hide my tree layer, and if I click on it again, it will show my tree layer. In this case, I would like to hide my tree layer and my sky layer, and now I would like to move my beach layer the place where I want to. So I would select my beach layer, and with my move tool selected, click anywhere on the image, and I can move that wherever I like. So I would like to place it over here. That looks good for now. And now I will turn on the visibility of my sky layer, and now I can see my sky is overlapping my beach layer, which is not looking right. So I would move my sky layer below the beach layer, and to do that, just left click your mouse on the sky layer and drag, and now you can see a sign line going through my layers, which tells me that I want to move my sky layer between them, and this is what exactly I want to do. So I would leave that sky layer goes behind or below the beach layer, and now I would move my sky layer individually to the place where I would like to move. So I think over here it looks right to me. I would move my beach layer again a little low. I think this is fine. And also turn on the visibility of my tree layer. And okay, so by mistake I was on beach layer, that's why it moves my beach layer. I do not want to move my beach layer, so let me undo that. And to perform an undo, go to edit, and the first option over here is undo move, and the shortcut to that is Ctrl Z or Command Z on Mac. Click on that and you can see my beach image has moved back to the place where it was. And let me select the tree layer, click on that and move that over here. And now you can see the image is coming together, but still it does not look right because the beach is more of a day image and the sky is more of a night image and the tree is a silhouette. So how do we bring that together? I would be fixing that by creating few adjustment layers. Do not worry, we'll be talking about these adjustment layers in my future videos in much more detail. But for now, just relax and sit back and see what I'm doing. To do that, first I would select my beach layer because it's a lot more brighter and I want to create a mood that you're nearby this beach area and it's a night time. So to do that, let me just select my beach layer, go to my create new adjustments and I would select brightness contrast. Let me just clip that to my beach layer and reduce the brightness to -150 and also reduce the contrast to -10. It looks a lot better, but I want to push it a little more. To do that, let me just create one more adjustment, which is hue saturation. Let me just clip that again to my beach layer. Desaturate my image to -30 and also decrease the brightness of that a little more. Let's say 45 looks good to me for now. Let me do the same for my sky. Let me just create a new adjustment. In this case, I would create a hue saturation, clip that to my sky layer and desaturate that to -30 and decrease the lightness to -20, and I think this looks much better. So now you can see my overall image looks a lot more better and it has started to make sense. But I think the beach looks a little more brighter. To reduce that, let me select my hue saturation and decrease the brightness of my beach layer to -65. I think that looks better. One final adjustment which I would like to create is go to my new adjustments and create curves. I would brighten this image a lot more. And with my lasso tool, I will just make a quick selection and create a new mask. I would just invert that and go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur and blur my mask, click OK and decrease the opacity. And now you can see I've quickly created a vignette effect around my image. If I turn off my curves layer, now you can see, and turn it back on, now you can see I have a bit of a vignette effect on my image. I still think my sky image looks a little more brighter, so let me just go to the lightness and reduce that a touch. That looks a lot better. Let me select my move tool, and at times when you're creating a darker compositions and if you would like to view that against a brighter frame, you can right click outside your document image and you have an option to change that. So right now I want to view that against a light gray so that you can see your image a lot more in a better way, I would say. To save this document, let me go to File, save, and the shortcut to that is Control S on Windows and Command S on Mac. And I click on it, and this is the folder where I would like to save. Here you can rename your file, but I would like to have it as layers, and click on save. So this saves your file in a PSD format, that is a Photoshop document. It's the raw file where you can edit, come back and edit at any point of time. You can add in more elements or you can delete them. It's all up to you. But whenever you hand over a file, or let's say if you want to upload your work on a social media, you would want to use something like JPEG. So to do that, to save this particular document into a JPEG file, I would go to File, Save As. The shortcut to that is Shift Control S on Windows and Shift Command S on Mac. Click on that, and now Save As type, I would like to save it as JPEG. Click on that. Layers is the file name which I want. So click on Save. And over here it will ask me at what quality do you want to save my image. So I would like to go for maximum, and it gives me an information that it's going to be a 1.2 MB file, which is fine with me. So let me click on OK, and that saves a JPEG file of this document. And this comes to an end to my beginner's guide to Photoshop CC 2019. If you like my video, don't forget to comment below and also let me know what kind of Photoshop topics you would like to learn. I would be creating many advanced and intermediate videos also. Do subscribe my channel for more, and don't forget to hit the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new videos. Thank you for watching. Would see you next time with a lot more demystifying photo editing techniques.